So they'll be calling you a radical. That anti-nuclear stuff, that's old-fashioned, old and wore out. Kevin Blanch, he's old-fashioned. Leukemia, oh, cancer, it's old-fashioned. So they've been dumping for how long now? Oh, they're going to start the second round of dumping October 5th. Okay. Okay, and the sheep believe. So Martin just called me and he says, God, I've heard you talk about Semmelweis so many times, and I really didn't understand who and what you're talking about, but I watched a documentary on him. Oh my God. Hello. He's the germ theory guy in Austria. He proved doctors need to wash around. He proved that he improved mortality by 10 times. They still didn't believe him. They clarified him insane, took his license away, threw him in a rubber room, and beat him to death. Now he's considered probably the greatest science in history. This was 50, 60 years. Little invisible green. Germs can't fly through the air. No. Freaking nuclear fallout. It's invisible. I can't see it. I can't taste it. Back to the cave. Here we go. Freaking. Where'd you sleep last night? Don't you fucking lie to me. I slept in the dead fucking pines with the sun from Fukushima, Japan. August 24th, they started dumping 2023 while you've been asleep for 4,580 something fucking days. Well, let's get, okay, if that's the case, hello. Look, first two hypothesis, I've proven this. This is not hypothesis by Kevin Blanch anymore. Good scientists first you hypothesize the knowledge, which I did. These are full blown out meltdowns, which really wasn't. I knew for a fact because all my work I'd done at Weber State University, the #1 school of business in the country, I was the due diligence on the nuclear reactors. I would do it. I proved that a Mach 1, Mach 2 that they built, University GE, which is Weber State, I proved unarguably that this is long ago that Mach 1, Mach 2 core could not handle a shake on the Richter scale of 7.9 or 8. I saw this was a 9. I knew they were gone. They were all gone. I knew the spent fuel pools couldn't handle anything over a 7.8. I knew they had the biggest load of nuclear waste probably on the face of the earth. Spent fuel for 40 years, MOX fuel, because we got illegal. And I still like how people think that this is Japan running the show. No. Yalta by the Sea. In 1945, when we signed the agreement, Russia took over Eastern Europe. We split Germany down the middle, and the United States took Japan. Barack Obama, the only thing he ever said true, drinking that, faking the water drink. Now, these treaties were signed long before I was born. How did they force the Prime Minister of Japan, who's an anti-nuclear at the time, which I talked to personally? Nato Khan was the Prime Minister, not a bee. What happened to bee still blows my mind. So answer me this, all this. Kevin Blanch, then you do the field work. 12 years ago, I got sick right now. October 2011, I got a stomach ache. Violent. Right here, up that exact road right there to the emergency room. What a journey, huh? Ended up being a really radical, hardcore form of leukemia, called de novo, which means it presents a tumor with an extremely radical high marker into a bone marrow transplant. Too sick for a transplant. Experimented on me. I let them experiment on me because I was going to die. Used a radical form of chemo on me. Oh, it worked. It took out everything else. Took out my gallbladder. I lost it. By the way, no insurance. And I was a millionaire. Forked over all my stock, all my money. And then Mike Lee kicked me off Medicaid. Still don't get that one. Slowly lost all my teeth. That was horrible, But my valves started to go in 2016. I could feel it from the chemo. My heart valve, my good heart, my beautiful heart. They call it Kevin Blanch's famous heart here now. They replaced the valve in 2017. I never felt like it worked. I have a pacemaker now. I mean, the whole works. I had open heart surgery again this year. I'm rehabbing again right now. So all this field work while I'm in critical condition. 12 years this month. First shot pot. These are full blown out meltdowns. They're lying. They're going to cover it up. It's going to genocide the Pacific Ocean, the Great Pacific. It's going to cause a heat bubble over the western United States. The radiation this fall, you don't even know what it is, which I know because it's never happened before. Never happened to Mayak. Never happened to Chernobyl. Never happened to Santa Susana. Chernobyl, 1 partial graphite core reactor with 780,000 men in tune. Fukushima, 3 full core meltdowns, at least most likely 4. And all those spent fuel pools. And they're going to tell you, Winston, Orwell on Balco. Orwell couldn't bring this up on a hit of acid and a bucket of hallucinogenic mushrooms. I mean, it's insanity how people have gone along with this. So answer me this. If this the dump second dump starting October 5th. Okay, if that's the case, I don't do opinion. I did the dead tide pools, they collapsed. I did the salmon. Will you believe me then when the Chinook collapsed in 2016, they go to sea for 5 years, smoking gun. So in science, we use what we call regressionary models when we get enough data, but it takes a long time to get enough data. But we've got 12 years of data. We don't get dead tide pools, what Kevin Lash says. Science admits now what Kevin Lash has proven, his field work. I do all the field work. They gather all the money. I did all the tide pool work, historic raw footage. Now they agree. 95% collapse in the starfish. When did that happen? 2011, 2012, 2013? Just wasting. What caused what? Wasn't gradual. How about the well collapse? How about Kevin Lash? This energy is going to get into the pine needles of the trees. This is a gas, this is a vapor. They're pushing it into the ocean over and over and over. We don't know what it is because Lake Barrett to Leslie Stahl in 60 minutes on day nearly 3,000 took them to 3,000. Tell you what Kevin Lash told you in 1 hour. Well, Lake, this is like going to the moon fixing this. Way bigger than that. This never happened before. Well, where's the course? Where's the course? See those holes over there? See the Pacific Ocean? We don't know. We've sent robot after robot to deep, deep, deep. You can have metaphor. You can't get near them. We don't know. China syndrome is very real, which I named Del Mar Argentina syndrome. Why? Come on the other side there. We know that it's very real. It's been proven now because the United States is running the show. Why do you think Lake Barrett's running the show? He's, the same guy from 3 Mile Island that lied? Oh, maybe we can get Netflix to do a documentary about it. Fukushima in 44 years if man is still alive in the year 2525. So, we have 12 years of data. So we use what we call regressionary models. You plug them into a computer system. You can do it with the wells. You can do it with the tide pools. You can do it with the salmon. We surely count every single salmon. All of them. You go all the way from the Kenai, clear down to the Smith. Smith River has no dams. The Kenai Chinook this year had 1,975. Total, not for the day, total. 97% collapse post 2016, just like we go to see 5 years. We still had, and which go to see 1-2 started to collapse immediately on 2012, just like Kevin said. We have all the data. We can start at the top, the Kenai, we go, the Nushka. You're going to see how low that? Those numbers are down 96, 97% on the Chinook. The Fraser, the Mighty Columbia, the Rogue, the Deschutes, the Jedediah Smith, which has no dams, they're all in symphony with each other. Every one of them are down 95+% in an acute radical fashion. In science, we call that an outlier. So you can plug these models into a computer system to show you when, where, if there is an outlier. You plug all the raw data in on the salmon. You could use it mutually exclusively, or you can put it in together. Either don't matter because it comes out the same result. The salmon, the wells, the tide pools, the fire, the heat bubble over the western United States, the radical, incredible drought that Kevin Blanch predicted. This energy is going to get into the pine needles. Now, how does a pine needle stay green, kiddies? It holds radiation from the sun inside that needle. You ever been camping on the fire and you throw them in the fire and it goes, whoo, whoa, it holds it. So I'm the first guy that started saying, hey, you could see they're dying as I'm out there walking the coast of California dying of cancer. Look at the trees. How about all the murres wash up dead? I'm walking on them. First guy to report it. How about when you could see the blob? I says you could physically see it. Black, because why? The healthy species at the platonic level. What do we call this that's moved in now on the bioluminescence? We call that the pseudo-nuts. What does pseudo mean? Pseudo is Latin For what? Not genuine. Fake. Shouldn't be there. It's not natural. So the pseudo-Nazis taking over. It's the lowest form. It's kind of like the media. Kind of like the nuclear energy crime center. They've taken the field. We call that scum. So the lowest invasive species moves in and replaces the other. That's the green mold I find in the tide pools, the slime, the black mold that we used to call it the blob, remember? You all forgot. Run along, Johnny. That was a long time ago, a whole 12 years. So, look, it didn't happen like this. It happened like this. So in science, we call that an outline. So you got to take the bias out. So you plug in regression error models. Any regression error model you plug in is going to point to a mega, probably the greatest outlier in scientific history, at least since the Spanish flu. I think it's bigger than that. People don't even know the origins of the Spanish flu. You can't even have that conversation today. I mean, my God. The outlier is 2011. That is absolutely unargumented, documented scientific fact now. It's unarguable. You cannot argue it. We have all the years. So we know something radical happened to the Pacific Ocean and the North American ecology in 2011. That's unarguable scientific documented fact. Kevin Blanchard's work is unarguable now. So we have to start looking for the culprit. So we know something radically changed in the Pacific Ocean and or the North American ecology. That's a tough one. Did a meteor hit Earth? Do we have 8,000 Exxon Valdez's blow up at once? This is not a gradual, this is a radical collapse. The fires, the heat bubble, all of it, you can look it up. It's all 2011. All hypothesized became, what? For Hamlet and Cassandra, they got together. The new Semmelweis, Kevin Blanch. Oh, beat me up and put me in and try to kill me. Oh, they tried. I mean, I've been in critical condition for 12. Hired team, their answer was to hire teams of trolls, which we've proven that. To slander me, a guy in critical condition, doing the work, trying to save you from you, is a real motherfucker. And only the nuclear energy crime center can get away with that. And you don't think they're untouchable. Think about what went on in Ohio. First, Energy Stadium, that Cleveland, the nuclear energy crime scum, I'm fighting them all over. Kevin versus teams of freaking paid by your own taxpayer money, government dime, the Department of Energy, which is the Department of Nuclearism, going house to house, state to state. I'm fighting them all. I'm fighting them in New York, asking, here's $7.6 billion. I'm battling. In Ohio, we start going to the FBI. Myself and others say, hey, look what they're doing to us. They're sending us in, they're trolling us, they're attacking us, they're bribing. Well, the FBI office in Cleveland got involved. Now, they did the same thing in Utah with NuScale, illegally. You see NuScale stock? Utah's paying for it. They're going to save us. John Curtis said so. Okay. Fucking. If you don't think politicians, what's George Carlin's old line? Selfish, ignorant people will elect selfish, ignorant leaders. You see what went up in Parliament in Canada? And they're all clapping about it? That's how ignorant they are. They don't know their own. I mean, it's unbelievable. So they're going house to house, state to state. The FBI gets involved and says, oh, wait a minute. There's a couple $100 million worth of bribes. Here, we proved it. We found it. The lead politician in the entire state of Ohio, House Majority Speaker Larry Householder, $60 million they gave him. $60 million. Four of them, between the four of them, they got $100 million. One of them committed suicide. Larry Householder is doing 20 years in a federal penitentiary right now, right here, right now. The people that bribed him, the nuclear energy crime scum. Now, doesn't it take two? Don't you have to have a briber to bribee? The bribees go to prison. The bribers, no charges. Is that even fucking possible? Look it up. And Ohio's so degenerate and so sick that they bailed them out anyway after they bribed all the pitches. I want your other sister. Well, Utah's the same way. We pay the price downwinders. We're funding little SMR new scales, and Jose Reyes becomes a multimillionaire. All these people that put the sponsors. We've been paying them for 10 years to give us these little SMR reactors out of your light bill to the tunes of hundreds. They robbed us. They take it public. He sells all his stock inside. The stocks crash. It's under $5, and they write off, "I see you," and get away with it. So I've proven it. So they're going to start dumping. Okay, I want to ask all you pro-nuclear freaks. If that's the case, they started dumping August 24th, right? 2023. That's when they dumped. They caught all the water. If that's the case, and I'll post the data for the umpteenth time, may I get 12 views. If that's the case, in May of 2023, in the harbor off of Fukushima, a fish or fish, well, does it really matter if it's one or doesn't? I mean, they tested a fish or a batch of fish, whichever report you listen to, with 18,000 becquerels of 137. 137, cesium-130 only comes from a nuclear exchange. That means there's iodine, there's strontium-90, all the other. But we like to use strontium-130, cesium-137, and they'll tell you just trinium. Well, they all go in symphony with each other, including what I've named FUKUSHIMA. Semmelweis me. That's 180 times over the safe legal limits. The safe legal limits were raised dramatically in Japan and the United States. Obama raised them 4 times, and then Trump just got rid of them. They crashed RadNet, the radiation detection network here, on the 11th. Now, that's detections, radiation, all over this country. You can go online and look at the radiation. Why would they just take that? Oh, just another coincidence, bro. Okay. How did that fish or that fish get all that radiation, 180 times in May of 2023 if they caught all the water? Okay, how about in a whole batch of fish was tested by the Fishing Alliance 40 kilometers off the coast of Japan, inside the current, in the Japanese current, which runs into California. Remember that bridge overpass that cars drive on made it to Gold Beach, Oregon from Fukushima in 7 days or 6. Breaking news, fish swim. Breaking news, the current. In the current. They're out there testing in the current. They know what they're doing. And they caught fish with, this is in January of 2022. 1,400 becquerels of cesium-137 in it. And strontium-90, all the suspect. 14 times over the safe legal limit. Okay, let's go clear to 2011. Ken Buser on the KOK, which is the University of Hawaii's research vessel, which they've hid away now and trashed because I'm sure it's radioactive, and just like they did the USS Reagan. That study's in June of 2011. I presented it. Buser's name out. In the current, first isotopes they've tested 3 times over the background of strontium-90, iodine, all the suspects, including cesium-137. Second sample set, 50 to, third sample set, 1,000 times. So you're telling them, Buser says, oh, that's all good. 1,000 times over the, and what's background levels? The Bikini Atoll bombs. The open air testing that. We know. NOAA tests that every day and posts it. Well, not our job, they'll tell you now. You're telling me 1,000 times the background? And Buser says that's safe and okay. Oh my God, what a criminal. All these guys. But like I've said, I tell everybody, let them brand themselves in history. Because that's what they've done, and so have I. The greatest PhD in human history, Kevin Blanch. How did all that cesium, how did all that radically get into those? And you're telling me the tide pool collapse, the salmon collapse, the well collapse, the fires, all of that in acute radical fashion in 2011 is all coincidence? Coincidence doesn't get into science. What Kevin Blanch has done, the greatest PhD. First you hypothesize, and then you do the field work. Well, it's going to give you cancer. Oh, I got cancer. Cancer rates skyrocketed in that area. It's unarguable now. You can't argue with me because I have the real science is on my side. I've proven it. You can plug regression, and we know there was a mega outlier that happened in 2011. That's absolute arguable science, including the fires. When the fire chief, I'm in California, man, and he comes right out and says, We thought it was over thousands and thousands of square miles. We thought arsonists were working simultaneously together. Old-time fire chief, I've never seen anything. There's never been anything like this in the history of mankind. They all started simultaneously. It's almost like there was a vapor and a gas. Hello. As hypothesized by Kevin Blanch. You can't argue with me anymore. I said in 20, these are full-blown up meltdowns. They're going to push it in the Pacific Ocean. This is the first time in human history this has ever happened. It doesn't matter if you agree with me anymore. It doesn't matter because I have the science on my side. Well, I am the science. And if you think I'm full of shit, then you think Einstein's full of shit. Albert Einstein. If we ever get a full-blown meltdown in one of these nuclear reactors, Albert Einstein will change every piece of biology on the face of the earth. Including animals, including humans, including vegetation. Well, what about the animals and the humans? Humans are animals, he says. Will humans adapt? Yes, in 50 generations. I've proven it. This is not gradual. This is an acute rise. And I want to say this. Everybody who's gone along with this, scientists are mystified, they're stumped, they're baffled, they're curious, they're alarmed, they're all this said fucking adjectives. You're criminals. In science, anybody, and I would say all these young people, this is class online, any young person that's in science, anybody that uses the word coincidence in science, or it's radiation, nuclear fallout, the solution to pollution is it doesn't dilute, it gets stronger over time. The half-life on some of these isotopes is literally millions of years. We like to use cesium-137 because the half-life's short, 30 years. Oh, that won't harm you. That won't. Oh, yes, it will. Oh, yes. Now, the guy that drank the water, the politician who's missing in Japan now, is he dead or is he alive? I don't know. But you sure don't hear anything from him. I mean, all these useful idiots, and they get played by the Nuclear Energy Crime Center, just like Larry Householder sitting in I wonder what he thinks right now. I mean, I sure like to. Maybe I'll see if I can file through the Department of Corrections. I could file a request and see if I can go to the federal prison and interview him. Now, I did all that with Megan Rice. We got right there ready, and they wouldn't let us in. They let her niece in. I was at the trial. I will quote Megan Rice's niece at the Knoxville airport to Kevin Blanch. Kevin, all these mucks that write books, including Carol, doesn't she live in Utah? You know, all these different people that call themselves anti-nuclear. Yeah. You know, they're supposed to be Megan Rice's friend. You know, all these so-called anti-nuclears, Gundershield, Helen Caldecott, all of them. Where are they? They never showed up. I says, I showed up. Yeah, we see that. I says, because they're war profiteers. They're writing books. They're book writers. Helen said the Japanese were tidy people and cleaned it up. Arnie Gundershield says that it was a hydrogen blast for 7 years. Chris Busby said the Pacific Ocean took place in the... Oh, fuck. It just proves the half-nukers. Pitiful. Kevin Blanch, the real... They're afraid of me. Well, but the new Semmelweis. I was right the whole time. So answer me this. They're going to start flushing, and they shouldn't start flushing until August 24th, 2023. How in May 2023 did 180 times the safe limits of radiation get into the fish? How did that happen? How did that happen in 2022 in January? How did it happen 1,000 times over the background levels in 2011 and the boat? How did that get there? How did that get there? Huh? How did that get there? You've been had. As I said back then, they're going to tell you exactly what I told you 10, 11, 12 years from now. After the frogs have been boiled nicely. And if you don't think it's affected you, you just don't know it has. Oh, it has. It's affected everything. So, which I need for Tony a minute. So, throw me in a rubber room and beat me to death. The new Semmelweis. The greatest scientist, probably in human history. And you know what happened to him. You know, there's a hospital named after him in Vienna now. I've been there 12 years ago right now. Given 2 months to live, critical condition the whole time. Talk about a compelling, just the fact that I went into the bone marrow transplant on 11/11/11, which I didn't plan that. Albert Einstein would say, you're placing time. Remember when Einstein used to always take the photographs with his tongue out and that crazy hair? Maybe I should grow a little gray mustache. Einstein, Metalbron, fractal physics on chemo, Blanche. I've always been mentored by Albert Einstein since I was very, very, very young. I had a dream when I was an 11-year-old boy that light bent. If I did it all over again, I'd be a plaster. Kevin Blanche. Oh, I was a plaster. And I was an honor student in 16. People wanted me to be this. I remember when they recruited me at Caltech and Berkeley. My grandfather, you're not going to one of those scumbags. No, you're going to your local community college, and you're going to learn a trade. And I says, yeah, I already read about Albert. Yeah, I agree. I think that's right. My gold medal. Dead tadpole jumping, Bobby Blanche. That anti-nuclearism, that's old-fashioned. Cancer's old-fashioned, you know? Yeah. Blanche is old-fashioned. The Pacific Ocean, and see, so I talked to my grandchildren in Brooklyn, and I says, your favorite spot? I says, I saw the sea lion got out of the zoo in the flood. Their school flooded, the kids. And then he came swimming home. I says, did you know in Oregon, the United States Congress passed a law that they could shoot them for eating salmon? Yeah, you told us that before, Grandpa. We looked it up. We had Mama look it up for us. It's disgusting. I showed that to my teacher. She couldn't believe it. And then she looked it up and says, oh my God, tell your grandpa thank you so much. What does that say? Gray well? Gray well? Gray well? That sign's been there since I was a child. I remember in 1978, the biggest deer I ever saw was right there. Gigantic, incredible beast. Now we live on the corner of Obey and Consumption. That anti-nuclearism is old-fashioned. Kevin Blanche, the new Semmelweis. I fight for her, she fights for we. You branded yourself, all of you, in history. And if you want to find Kevin's work, it's like the old days when you used to have to dig through the research library like I used to do. There was no internet, there was no JSTOR. It was there, but it was hard work to find it. That's all YouTube is a library. You go into a library, 99.9% of what you're going to find in there is Radio Gaga bullshit. Even if it was contemporaries at the time. Because that's all people do is sit around and talk. Same with a YouTube video. 99% of it's total bullshit. You know, some of the music videos are beautiful, and there's some cool art out there, but very little. Most of it's Radio Gaga, Radio Go. Just like a library. You go in, you're like, that was a contemporary book? What a rag. But if you dig and get down the research, and you get down in the basement, and you're like, oh my God, look at this. Look what I found. Somebody put this in the library. They documented the entire Fukushima catastrophe. I was happy. Not just regurgitate, actually boots on the ground doing the work. I'm not a, vlogger. I'm not a Gaga blue, but what am I supposed to do? Stay in the university circle? If they captured, it's called JSTOR. What do you think Aaron Swartz, I knew Aaron Swartz personally. What do you think they gave him 35 years for a non-violent crime just downloading the server? They control the information. Take the shower, climb aboard the boxcar. Not fucking me. Not me. I fought back. How did you survive cancer? I fought back against the fuckers that gave me cancer. I fought for her, our mother. I know where we all come from. Think about it. The mighty blue lady, the Pacific Ocean. You let them gang her, and everybody stood by and says, oh, it's coincidence. This fight's not baffled. Your apathy is a crime. The nuclear energy so-called the so-called academia, the so-called media, science community, your silence was the nuclear energy's deadly violence. You're criminals. You're all fucking criminals. Every one of you. What should happen to every one of you that said science, mystified, baffled, stopped, curious, in the media that you went along, you got bought and did? You know, all the science professors, all the science teachers, all the print media, everybody that's gone along with this. What's going to happen? I don't know. I'm not the arbitrator. I'm not the person that makes those decisions. You know, we'll let Mother Nature handle that. We'll let whatever gods there are, the powers there be, we'll let God handle that. Around here, they used to say, when I was a kid, these old timers used to say right here, fuck them all but 6. Save them for pallbearers. Amen. That Kevin Blanch is old-fashioned. That anti-nuclear energy is old-fashioned. That full-blown out meltdowns never happened in the history of mankind. FUKUSHIMA, oh, that's old-fashioned. Loving the ecology, loving the environment, defending our very own mother, the mighty blue lady of the Pacific Ocean, in an intense, radical, strong fucking way. Oh, that's old-fashioned. Okay. I don't believe in violence. The nuclear energy crime syndicates, look what they did to me. Attack me like that, viciously, but like I said, I'll let the powers there be. As I've said, the mighty blue lady, you're no match for her. Mother Nature bats last. We'll let it all play out now. You know, I did my work, and I'll continue to do it. I'll be back on the tide pool soon. Thank you, everybody, who's supported this historic, incredible work. I am so happy to be alive. See my grandchildren. I got to go see my 2 grandsons play soccer yesterday. You see that photo with them? They're so dejected because they finally got beat. They don't lose very often. They lost 2-1. But God, you can just see it because they're passionate like their grandfather. But I got to watch it. What a gift. What a gift. You know, life is a gift. Life is a gift. I fight for her, she fights for me. For the C, Kevin D. Oh, it's the ecology, stupid. The nuclear energy emperors. They have no fucking clothes. Stand tuned.